You are listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, social, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. Visit exopolitics.org and sign up to receive our email notifications, news, and information. Be informed and be aware with Exopolitics Today. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, it's my great pleasure to welcome Tony Rodrigues and Elena Danan to Exopolitics Today. And we're going to be covering some really fascinating information that is relevant to an update that Elena recently got about Ceres. And Ceres was a planetoid that I first got to learn about through an interview with Tony Rodrigues back in 2016, I think it was. And it was at Mount Shasta. And we did a 5-part interview. And he talked about his time on Ceres. That was the base for a Dark Fleet merchant ship that he served on for a total of 13 years. And he got to spend a lot of time at Ceres between missions and knows intimately about Ceres. And I think he's really in a good position to be able to comment about Elena's update about Ceres that she just received from the Galactic Federation. So welcome to both Tony and Elena.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy to be here.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes. Well, I want to first begin, Tony, by just saying that back in 2016, one of the things that you told me was at the time, what was major news was the Dawn spacecraft that was making a rendezvous with Ceres. And it took photographs, and there was this mysterious white spot that was like big news for at the time, and people speculated on that white spot. But you said something about the white spot, that actually it being a geyser. And it actually turned out that years later, NASA confirmed that. So, well, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about your how you got to see this geyser on Ceres while you were serving for the Dark Fleet merchant vessel?
At the time, I was a cargo engineer, and I was working on a craft that was basically doing cargo trade missions on interstellar flights. It was a very carrot and stick system, so that if you did your work really good, you got rewarded. And if you were lax in your duties, you would get penalized. So we worked very hard. There was a time that we flew, I believe it's Ganymede that has all the geysers. And months prior to that, there was an eruption of geysers. And we were given time to leave our posts and go look out the window and observe the geysers as we flew over Ganymede. And I did not, because I wanted to work and get extra credit. And what happened was, as a result, for months later, everybody on the ship talked about how beautiful the geysers were. And I regretted not doing that. So the Ceres geyser, I was told, goes off in random fashion between in between 6 and 9 year intervals. So every 6 years possibly, or it could take 9 years. It was either 6 to 9 years of that time period, it would go off again. And it went off, and it was only like 3 days or something that it would give water. And so we were given we made a pass over the Okator crater, and we were given time away from our post. And this time I made sure, because I had regretted it in the past. And I went to the C deck, the mid deck of the ship, and there was an observation window. It was very crowded. And I stood next to one of the smaller windows next to an officer. And as we flew over, we could see the white deposits. They're deep too. That's the other thing, is they're a meter deep of the salt. And I asked him, I said, it seems to me we could use those. That's a resource, we could use that. And the geyser shot up about 10 kilometers into the, off the surface, and then the water evaporated, and the salt and the deposits would snow back down in a cone around it at different speeds. It was absolutely beautiful. I've had artist renditions of it, but none of them do it really justice. They're always the Okator crater is a big place. It's 55 miles wide or something. but it was beautiful, and that was one of the memories that stayed with me the whole time, even after I had been erased. Like in my teen years, I remembered that, looking at it, and I remembered that conversation I had with the officer. But at the time I said, it seems like we could use those chemicals down there, that's a resource. And he's turned to me and he said, the only thing you could go down there and scoop it up, and you could use it and take a nice bath. That it was salt with a slight amount of magnesium in it, that there was magnesium, but it was basically just salt. And at the time that you and I were in communication, NASA was distant. The Dawn probe was still far away. It wasn't close up, and it was getting pictures that were still pixelated. But and then in the months to come, when when the Dawn probe got into orbit, it did a prior scan, and they didn't know what they thought. It was a soup of chemicals that they were assuming, and it wasn't until August of last year that they confirmed that it was salt. In the article that I sent you, so
Yes,
that was very very valid. Any little thing, when you come out with information such as this, that's fantastic to the average person, every little stitch that can help validate you is just, it was a very moving moment for me when that article came out. I was moved.
Yeah, that was very important, that article from scientists studying new photos from the Dawn spacecraft. Apparently it had done another flyby, and they were able to confirm that these were salt deposits from some sort of brine that was coming out from the interior of Ceres. And that was one of the other things I remember you telling me, that Ceres had this huge below surface ocean that was something that the base there was reliant on for its water supply. So yeah, it was kind of multiple confirmations really of key aspects of your testimony that I thought was really important.
They actually, there were mining operations that was the entire goal. They were not mining out the material to use. They were mining, searching for water, deposits of water. And the urban legend among us, so I was not in the know when I was there. I was basically slave labor. So I wasn't in the know, but the urban legend among us was that they were finding technology. When they found pockets of water and emptied it out, that they were finding technology, ancient technology, and that actually the caverns that they found there, the hangar bay system they had found that was existing, that some other race had built millennia before and abandoned. And they had moved in and began to convert it. So we didn't know, so it was speculation at my level of society. But the urban legend was that they were looking for pockets of water because they had found technology, advanced technology, in pockets of water there. But there was no official speaking of it, from the people that were in charge of us. The miners just went in directions that they were told. They had no idea where they were going.
So definitely there was a lot going on, Ceres, seeking water, ancient technology, and of course there was a very large base that you were stationed at for roughly 13 years, and you got to learn a lot about its kind of social structure, leadership, and how it was all run. So that takes us to Elena's update on Ceres that she got from Thorhan. And Elena sent me a message on August 21st, so a week ago from today. And Elena, I mean, do you have that message handy to read out?
Yes.
Or if you can read it out for us, and then we can get you to elaborate.
Sure. So on August 21st, I had this message from